Alright, I know I've been promising this for a long time, but welcome back to Big Twinkie. So I'm going to show you what I've been saying is kind of my ecto trap, my ghost trap, but it's not exactly official. But I'm very proud of this, okay? So, what I made this out of was something that I got when I was at Brickfest about 2 years ago. Well, not exactly 2 years, but it's going on to be 3 years, because I think Brickfest is in June. It's an event that happens at the Philadelphia Expo Center, and it's really awesome, especially if you like Legos. So, obviously Brickfest is mostly Legos. So what I saw when I was there was one of these bad boys. It's a giant foam Lego. Let me give you what it looks like, basically. And anyone who's ever seen a trap from Ghostbusters will recognize it. Even though it's not perfectly screen accurate, please forgive me. But like I said, I am very proud of this. A lot of love and hard work went into this. So, let's start from the beginning. I took the brick, the foam brick, like that. It was blue, not green. I couldn't find an image of a blue one. And the first thing I did was I found that stuff, I forget what it's called now, but don't worry, I don't suggest using it, where you got one of those infomercials where he's pouring it on a boat and he saws it in half. Shoot, I can't, he screamed, oh, Billy Mays, remember? He's like, Billy Mays here! And he like saws a boat in half. It's a Euro seal or whatever it's called, something like that. And I'm like, oh man, I could just dunk this Lego in there. It'll be black, which is the color I needed, and it'll be, that'll be my starting point. So for a while that worked. But then as time went on, it started to chip in places, and it wasn't the best thing. So what I did after that was I got some black tape, and it made it look shinier, and I basically deconstructed my original build, which looked a lot worse than this, honestly. And this doesn't look 100% screen accurate. I'm going to point out all the inaccuracies anyway. But I wrapped all of the edges, I cut them carefully with an X-Acto knife, and handled it. So that's basically the first part that goes into this. Okay? The next part is all of the metal plates that you see on my trap. I know this side in the movie does not have one, and I'll get to that. What I did was I got some sheet metal, like this. Ow! Trying not to kill myself. And I measured all the faces that needed it, like this. And originally, I hot glued them on. That was another mistake I made. Don't use hot glue, because once it gets banged around, hot glue is not the strongest adhesive. Really, any adhesive you use is not going to last. Even like if you use E6000, Gorilla Glue, anything like that. So what I ended up doing at first, after I saw that failed, is I put some really long screws in here, like that. Now, you don't need too many. And I screwed them in, and I put some, they're really bolts actually, they're not screws. Put some bolts in, as you can see, and then screw them into the other side. And now that's never going to separate, never, unless I really get like a wrench and want them to come off. Okay, so I had my metal in on the side now. Dang, I really cut my finger. Okay, So I think after I did that, I'm like, alright, I gotta do the handle now. So that was one of the toughest parts. The handle is square and rounded, okay, which was tough to do. So I have my grandpa had, I should say, this piece of, oh, did I lose it? I hope not. Okay, it has fallen or gone somewhere. Okay, I'll describe it to you. I had some rubber, some hardcore rubber. Like, you put it through a saw. I had long lengths of it, and basically it's the type of rubber that if you're making like the handle, the blade of like a lightsaber out of, it works really well. It keeps its shape. And what I did is I put the square rod of rubber through the foam, and then I screwed it into the metal on the bottom. Now, if you guys don't know how to use tools and are unfamiliar with how to use tools, I would not recommend this being your first project, because this could be a little daunting. But this is the cheap way to make an ecto, I always want to call it an ecto trap, sorry, a ghost trap. And what I did after I got the rubber down there is I got some PVC pipe, which is real cheap, and then I screwed that onto the top. And I referred to a lot of the plans that were on GB Fans, Stefanato, and I forget the name of the other gentleman that puts up the plans for reference. Okay? So then that went into there, and all I really needed to do is put the top piece over here. Now originally I had glued this in, okay? But that was a mistake because the glue came off eventually. So again, what I did was I went back to that rubber, that hard rubber I had, which, by the way, you can just use a Sharpie like this, and you can just Sharpie right on the rubber, and it stays forever. Like, I don't even know how to get it off at this point. So I took those two pieces of rubber, and you can cut them with a saw to make some really cool angles. So I just, you know, kept referring to the picture of the trap, and I know this isn't screen accurate, but you know, it's pretty close. So on both sides, I cut them identically, and then attached them to, you know, this. Now this that you see on top is, believe it or not, molding these pieces, because this was a tough piece. I'm like, well, what could I use that will fit here? So up here in my my workshop, I was just looking around, and this is almost 90% of how I make these projects, is just kind of looking around, trying to figure, just, you know, tapping my face and my chin and rubbing my hair. I'm like, what the hell can I use to make this? And then I'll get an epiphany, and I'll see what I need, and I'll be like, oh, it's up here. And then I find it, and voila. I just cut some strips, pulled out the handy dandy spray paint, of which I have all colors and a lot of, and then I cut little portions out, and it went right here. And because the glue didn't work last time, what I did is I just got some long nails, or screws, sorry, and I screwed it right in. Now, I tried to hide the screws as best I could so this thing didn't look like a complete Frankenstein's monster. So what I did was I got some little screens, you know, display LED screens, and I knew the trap had this on it. I knew there was a little display screen there. But in my last model, I didn't have one. So I'm like, you know what? To hide the screw, I'm going to put it right over the screw and then get some more black duct tape and just put it right over where I put the screw. And now it's totally hidden. So, cool. Now that I had all this negative space in the middle, I was ready to put the doors of the trap. Which on my trap, which really is just a prop that doesn't work, don't open, unfortunately. But I got some plastic. You can use any type of plastic. And then I took my black tape again, cut it out into diagonals, and then I got my yellow tape, which worked out perfectly because I think this is 1 inch, and I just diagonally put that. Pretty simple. Now we get into like the details, which, you know, it took a while, but we'll start with the right side. Now the right side and the left side on my ghost trap are actually reversed. I messed it up because when I look at photographs, I didn't think, oh shoot, these pictures I thought would be the opposite way, like looking in a mirror, but they weren't. So I thought the left is the right and the right is the left. I'm dumb, but it still looks great in my opinion. You know, if you're going for 100% accuracy, this is not what you want. But anyway, this is the cheap route. Anyway, this is the right side, or what would be the left. So if you want to take mine and actually make it even more accurate, what you would do is call this the left side and put it on the other side. So anyway, I took some adhesive Velcro, which I have. I have like all types of bits and bobs just laying around in my garage, and eventually I found some adhesive Velcro. I cut them into little strips, and this is where on the on the ghost trap, you would see the little tubes that they got on the side, which I actually found if you take a red marker, you can put the inside of a red marker, like a Sharpie, and they look really good. But the problem is, because the edge is rounded, it's really hard to keep them on there, so I abandoned that idea. I just put the adhesive Velcro there, then I took some red, cut them into little strips, and attached them. Okay? You'll notice also on the caps of these bolts that there's little black parts. Okay? These are rubber ear buds for listening to headphones. So I put them on the end just because when I go to conventions and stuff, kids always want to play with the trap. And a lot of people have like really expensive traps and they kind of avoid letting, you know, 6, 7, and 8-year-olds playing with it. But I never mind letting them play with mine. You know, if they do any damage to it whatsoever, I don't care. I'll just fix it. So I put these just, you know, so they're safe. You know, kids can't really hurt themselves with it. Anyway, moving on, I cut out another piece of scrap metal over here. And I always put tape on the scrap metal just so the kids don't hurt themselves. And I put some more Velcro over here for the big knob that's on there. So Velcro is really good for stuff like that. And that's pretty much everything on this side. Going to the other side, I found this heat sink, which is not a heat sink, the silver one here, around the garage somewhere. And I just applied it with some more Velcro. And the tiny little heat sink is super easy to do. Basically, any piece of cardboard that you have, if you just peel off the front of it, has this pattern on it, and then I just took a yellow marker and then I put it on with like highlighter, I think it was a highlighter, and it gives you that gold look and it already has the pattern in it, because that's a very specific piece that's hard to find. So that's what I did, and I hot glued it on there. I didn't really use hot glue for much on this because hot glue is not the best, but I did use hot glue for that part because if it falls off, I got cardboard all over the place. Anyway, for this knob, which does spin because most of my knobs are, you know, in with some kind of screw, I just found a bottle cap, screwed it in, Sharpied over the silver part, and called it a day, and that's it. So that's the entire left and right side. Now for the back, this is the least screen accurate part of it. The least screen accurate meaning the shape of it, if you see a real picture of a trap, by real I mean a toy or prop, there is no silver part, and it's all black, and it comes out kind of in a edged, you know, part, so you can pull the trap out. You know, refer to the scene where like Ray is showing Winston how it works. I didn't know how to really build it up without making it too elaborate, and this trap already kind of weighs a decent amount. I think it weighs probably around 6 or 7 pounds. Probably mostly because of the metal and the screws, you know, and I just put a piece of metal on there, as you can see. I screwed it in, and then this on the bottom is one of the most ingenious things I did, is an old school mouse plug. So it actually attaches to a little hose that looks pretty screen accurate to a hose from the movie. So what I do is I have a hose that's about, I think, 5 feet, and I put the I put some epoxy on the end of the hose, and then attached it to the receiver that was inside of an old computer I had. And so now I can plug this into the hose, and then I can like toss it out, and it basically looks just like it does in the movie. So I was happy with that. I never built the pedal, but maybe one day I'll figure out how to do that. Nothing too elaborate, but I'm sure I'll make one day. Oh, I didn't show you this on the top, sorry. So for a switch, I didn't really know what to do. So this switch doesn't move, but what it actually is a friend of mine gave me some of his jewelry. I think this was a tongue ring or something, so I just boiled it, you know, so it looks clean, and then I just put it here so it looks like a switch. And the cool thing about this, actually, I forgot this, is that it actually lights up. This little piece right here is from the inside of one of those balls like that you get inside one of those, you know, 50-cent machines that you turn, and all you gotta do is tap it like as if you were bouncing it, and it lights up. Pretty neat, huh? I think that's cool. Finally, I think finally, is the front of the trap, where all the knobs and stuff are. Now, what I did with these knobs, because I didn't want to screw everything in, is I put the screws in first on these two. I found screws where the heads matched the inside of the knobs, so they can turn, and they weren't showing. Because they looked so good on the outside, I didn't want to try and mess them up in any way. And referring to the photos, I saw that the other two knobs were actually like, they were square, and I didn't really know where to get knobs like that, so I did actually use hot glue on those. This one is one of those flat Legos, and this one actually is something that's funny that you can only find today, and I don't know what they used back then, but I quit smoking, but have turned to the e-cigarettes, and these are what I used, the little cartridges that you can buy. I'm really proud of myself about quitting smoking, actually, so if you're a smoker, quit. Now, for the wheels, remember that this is foam. These are metal casters that you can get at any hardware store, and they're 1 1/4 inch. So like I was showing you in the beginning, it rolls perfectly. And, you know, I just screwed in the bottom plate, you know, in 3 places. I showed you that I screwed in the rubber handle into the bottom. And then what I did is, these casters, you know, have a little bolt that goes into there. So I pre-drilled the holes, and I filled the holes with hot glue. And then I just dropped the bolts from the casters into there, and they've stayed pretty well over the years. The last details I put on were all the stickers, and all I did was refer to Stefanato's plans, and from my own brain, you know, you just print them out 1-to-1. These are the leftover ones because these go on the pedal. I don't have the pedal, so I just have them left over. And that's it, guys. Like, it took a while. It wasn't, you know, 100% just, you know, easy. But I like to save my money on props as long as they look decent. I think this looks better than decent, to tell you the truth. I think this actually is really cool. I think that this is probably, optimally, one of my best props. What I'm going to tackle next is a PKE meter. I've never had one, but just to give you a little heads up, I think when I was in the dollar store last, I saw a lint brush. And a lint brush is almost the same dimensions of the PKE. So I'm going to tackle that and try making a PKE meter from the lint brush. But I'm really happy with how this turned out. It served me well, and the kids love it, and that's really what I care about most, to tell you the truth, guys. I like also making these props cheap, because if a kid breaks it and I have to fix it, or just totally runs away with it, it's really like no skin off my teeth. You know, I had fun building it. I'm glad they had fun with it, and if I never see it again, I'll just make another one. Okay, guys. So, you know, remember to comment, like, subscribe. It was a lot of fun making this. Let me know what you think. How did you build yours? Did you guys, like, you know, show me anything that you made. I would love to see it. Link me to your channel. But this thing was a blast to make. You know, I like what it does. I think it's got a lot of cool little accoutrements. For the most part, it's screen accurate. So, yeah. I'll see you guys next time, and I don't know... Oh, my belt gizmo, that's right. I finally finished building my belt gizmo, and I'm going to show you guys that. Alright? Alright. Have a good time. Keep on busting. See you next time.